Hello, Amy Elizabeth, somatic and intuitive healer here. This video is, while it is aimed at additional support for the members of my women's circle, if you want to join, it is as good a month as any. And there is a link to my website, and just click on the Women's Circle tab. This is also support for any of you who know your chart or have interest in diving a little deeper into those things. Today, I want to take us on a deeper dive into the Leo full moon that we had on January 25th. That moon happened at 5 degrees of the moon in Leo, the sun in Aquarius, which put the moon, our emotions, in opposition to Pluto, which just entered into Aquarius. So Pluto is sitting at Aquarius. The hum, the buzz is this phase we're entering into for the next 20 years. And for those of you that are a women's circle, you're going to see that Mercury, Mars, Venus all enter into Aquarius in the month of February, giving us a really sharp contrast between the speed of the messenger, Mercury, and the really deep transformational potential that comes with Pluto. And for those of you that are joining me for Women's Circle this month, we're really going to be focusing on moving toward transformation with a consciousness, because as so many of you know, we have been working in this space. Pluto is a relatively new archetype, and we're having the opportunity now with this sign change into Aquarius, a place Pluto hasn't spent time in since 1777, to move with a lot of intentionality toward bringing to life, birthing the transformations we want to see. And with this Leo full moon and the moon opposite Pluto, gives us an opportunity, especially with all the illumination of a full moon, to really start to get curious about how we feel about the idea of transformation, how we feel about doing the work of transformation. It is such a buzzword, and it is something we hear so much in the wellness space and the wellness industry as it is now. Transformation, transformation, transformation. And transformation takes time. To actually embody a transformation takes years, which is one of the reasons we're working with Pluto. Is it gives us the opportunity to start to really dig in and look at, as those of you that were with us in December know, the amount of time it takes to embody a transformation. And everybody has an emotional response. Some people have an emotional reaction to the idea of transformation. I have to change something about who I am, what I believe, how I function in the world. What? Yeah, we're all here on a spiritual journey. And we're having a spiritual journey by living an embodied life. So there's the kind of sun and moon piece, keeping in mind that a full moon is an opposition. An opposition is an energy of pulling apart or harnessing those energies and bringing them in to create pressure for change. So there were two choice points with the moon that happened on the 25th. One of them involved the sun and moon in a T square with Jupiter and Taurus acting as the fulcrum. And I'm going to keep coming back to this idea. The sun and moon are in fixed signs, with Jupiter acting as this fulcrum in an earth sign. Jupiter expands things, Jupiter makes things bigger. The invitation here felt like, can you recognize that the division of your head and your heart is not in service to anybody, anywhere, anything, anytime? that division of our head and our hearts, that we have to keep our hearts out of entire portions of our lives because we're just supposed to run on our heads. We're supposed to be just working to understand and to learn rather than to feel. And the stubbornness of what that is, the stubbornness of what it is for the feelers. There are a few things I hate more than the label of highly sensitive person, because every single human being on the planet is a highly sensitive person. It's just some people have chosen to not shut it off or have chosen to put it on life support and reanimate it. And others do everything they can to suppress their sensitivities. So, for the people who run on emotion, 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 or the people who run on head, 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 head. I just need to understand. I just need to understand. I just need to understand. This was an opportunity to look at, do you really need to make the choice? Or are you blowing it up into something bigger? Squares of any variety are uncomfortable. Their job is to get us up moving and to engage with some variety of change. And if that is their job, to get us up, to get us moving, to engage in some sort of change, this was a beautiful opportunity to really look at the ways in which we have stubbornly set into our own stories about who we are based on whether we run on our heart or our head, or who we are based on the division of our heart and head. The other choice point involved the Mercury Mars conjunction. They were within a degree of each other over in Capricorn with the nodes of fate. So the nodes of fate are at 18 degrees of Libra Aries, and this was a cardinal situation, right? With Capricorn and our friends. Everything with the other T square was fixed. Taurus was fixed. Leo, Aquarius was all fixed. And now we've got this starter T square with cardinal energy of earth, air, and fire. So, a really grounded opportunity with the messenger in Mars. Remember, Mars is in a new cycle. Those of you that have been working with me in Women's Circle, you keep hearing me say this. The warrior is in a new cycle as of November. That cycle that he's in is a scorpionic cycle. It is a cycle that is going to be working to activate our deep shadow pieces, working to activate everything it touches in our individual charts, and in the charts of everything is an activation of our shadow pieces. So what activation of shadow did Mars bring to this T square with the nodes of fate? And I was recently listening to another astrologer talk about the challenge of the nodes of fate is that the north node is essentially trying to swallow the sun. It's trying to reach for all of the light, which is a hard job. It's trying to reach for the highest potential, and keeping in mind that the highest potential is not an ego goal. It is a goal that looks very, very different than maybe what our human selves have in mind. Our human selves have a lot of goals that have to do with our own wants, our own needs, our own ideas, rather than tapping in to divine highest potential. And the south node is trying to remove the sun. It's the tail. It's trying to excrete and get rid of the sun. Um, so when we're dealing with the nodes of fate, we're in this energy of the consumption and the release, consumption and release. And can we move toward that north node? Can we move towards a place of individuality, of putting on our own gas masks first and leaving behind the people pleasing. And I say that not in a a way that I'm right and you're wrong and it needs to be my way and I'm the person who needs to be in charge of you. I'm saying leaving behind the people pleasing in a way that removes us from taking responsibility for everybody around us and therefore frees those people up to learn their lessons and move into their own higher potential. Because when we are people pleasing, when we are keeping the silence to keep the peace, when we do things like say, well, everybody's having a good day, but I've got this thing that's up, so I'm not going to say anything. That's a false peace. Because if anyone is feeling unsettled, now is a great time to deal with it because everybody else is feeling settled and peaceful. So people are less likely to be triggered. If we only ever deal with things when everybody is up and when there's a problem, it makes dealing with things much, much harder. So that Mercury, Mars, and Capricorn, T squaring the nodes, we have these really boots on the ground activations. Could have been harsh words, could have been using our words in a way that we're not proud of. And can you make the apologies? Can you heal the stuff in the past, the South Node, so you can move towards a brighter future? Do, do, do. And now we have one, two, three sextiles. Sextiles are creative aspects that took place that day. And those sextiles are between Jupiter and Taurus and Saturn and Pisces. And then Saturn and Pisces and Venus and Capricorn on his other side. And n- um, Neptune in Pisces with Pluto in Aquarius. So let's just break down each of the players here. We've talked about Jupiter, abundance and grace, and he's in Taurus right now. So it's really abundance of how do we deal with the abundance of our resources? How do we get into right relationship with our resources and recognize that there is abundance for everybody and nobody needs to be hoarding anything. In a creative aspect with our friend Saturn. Now, Saturn is a carpenter, and Saturn will build whatever variety of structure we ask. So, if we build a structure in our life that is a structure of abundance, Saturn will build that. And right now, and during that moon, Saturn and Jupiter were in a creative, having sex to create something aspect of how do you build abundance into your life and abundance in a way that doesn't take from anybody else. Really getting clear on what your wants versus your needs are, right? Because we're in Taurus, earth sign, versus Pisces, which is the dissolution of everything. It doesn't have any boundaries. Meanwhile, our friend Saturn in Pisces has got another sextile going on. He's also in talks with Venus over in Capricorn. Venus is in another place of practicality, and Venus is bringing in the beauty of of Capricornian practicality. And whereas Virgo is practicality on a detail, small scale, Capricorn is practicality on a big scale. Capricorn can look at the whole picture. So when Venus is there, she is dealing with big picture beauty. Sounds pretty good, right? Saturn building a structure in your individual lives, which allows us to build a structure in the lives of the collective that is about big picture beauty. When you think about big picture beauty, I imagine for most people, regardless of religious or political inclinations, they think about words like freedom. They think about words like equality. They think about words like justice. They want to oftentimes not think about words like responsibility, which is a Saturnian word if there ever was one, because to take responsibility is to step into our own empowerment. And then finally, we've got Neptune, also in Pisces. So he's in his home sign. He is at home and happy. The Venus Saturn sextile, just to back up for a minute, Venus is in Saturn's house. So she's answering to him right now with that sextile. He's got more power than she does. With the Neptune Pluto aspect, Neptune's in his own house. They're in a sextile, and Neptune's in his place of power. And Pluto is just on that 0 degrees where we saw the big Saturn Jupiter conjunction. What was that, 2021 ish? So there's this extra added oomph to Pluto's placement at 0 degrees. So just be aware that we're stepping into a new cycle, and Neptune, who is in its highest, this beautiful androgynous shamanic energy. It can take in both the big picture and the little picture. Is in his home sign. He is bathing in all of it. And Neptune in his shadow is fake news and an attempt to control water vapor, confusion, not understanding like big, huge truth, which of course is why Neptune in its light is divine truth. So those are the sextiles that were going on. And the final thing, sextiles all supportive, by the way, aspects that bring in the energy of Venus. The other big thing is we've got a couple of grand Earth trines that took place that day, as well as a second Earth trine. So we had two grand Earth trines and a second Earth trine. Mercury, Black Moon Lilith, Uranus. Mars, Black Moon Lilith, Uranus. Those are our two grand Earth trines. So there's all this support to be making boots on the ground changes in your life to make sure that you are communicating the maybe seemingly radical or innovative things you want to do to change how you're living, to change your relationship with the resources around you. How can you take more responsibility for your life? How can you unearth and maybe go after some hidden stuff that you're maybe not willing to own yet, that is a part of you shining your light in the world, which is a part of collective galactic healing and taking action towards that. So that whole thing was communicating ideas, rebellion, desires. All of that was Mars, Mercury, Uranus, and Black Moon Lilith. And then finally, we also had this trine between Venus and Capricorn and Jupiter in Taurus. This beautiful Earth trine between these two benefics. Venus in big picture practicality and the beauty of practicality. I think I spoke recently about the ridiculousness of everyone wanting to be special because being ordinary is not a thing we want to be, and how generally dangerous that is, that everybody's got to be special and that ordinary is somehow bad. Venus in Capricorn is the beauty of ordinary, the beauty of practicality, the beauty of orderliness. And not like human ego, I'm going to be in charge of this orderliness, like the softer, deeper piece that is, understanding that we are such a small part of the whole, while understanding simultaneously that we are a part of the whole. And our actions and our decisions ripple out and expand and get bigger and bigger and bigger. Jupiter in Taurus. So, ladies and gentlemen, for whomever is watching this, I hope this is helpful. Like, subscribe, ask questions, reach out. If you want to get in on Women's Circle, there is absolutely still time. We are going to be plotting the course of what Pluto is going to look like traveling through your personal Aquarian home in your chart for the next 20 plus years. I think the charts I did today go all the way out to 2044. So, I hope all is well. Thanks for tuning in.